Hey everyone, welcome to 1732 Streaming. I'm JK, and I got another episode of 1732's Freedom Circuit, episode 10. 10 episodes, that's pretty cool. And guys, if you don't mind, do me a favor here. And sorry, I'm just getting here everything together. Yeah, here we go. If you don't mind, guys, subscribe. If you don't mind, go ahead and hit a follow button. If you're on Rumble and that thumbs up button, I'd really appreciate it, or whatever platform you happen to be on, at 1732 Streaming on Rumble. JK1732A on Twitch, and at 1732 streaming on YouTube. We'll upload this a little bit later. And right now, we're actually streaming live to Facebook on my profile. We're not going to stream the whole episode there. This is just kind of a teaser. I'd really like for you guys to go to either Rumble or YouTube or Twitch and watch the whole episode there. So this is just kind of a teaser for you guys. This is just political content for the average guy. I'm the average guy. I'm going to tell you how I see it and what I think it is. And that's how we're going to go. And if you don't mind, also drop some comments for me if you don't mind. You can hit us in the live chat. I'm monitoring that right now. I'll try to respond to you. I'm a one-man show. My brother's back in California, and he's at a new job today, so he's not going to be able to hop in with us today. So I'll try to respond to you live here on air if I can. But otherwise, I'll get back to you guys maybe later on. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and get started here. So let's hit the first thing on the agenda. Okay, No Kings protest. All right, guys, so here, I'm going to show you a clip here real quick with the No Kings protest. And in my notes here, I got actually, the name of the episode, No Kings flop, question mark. The answer is yes, it was a total flop. But I want to show you some clips. So I got one here from, I believe it was MSNBC. Let me just pull that up for you here real quick. Here we go. All right, so this clip is from MSNBC describing the No Kings protest. Let me know what you think about this. Here, let's watch this.
Look at this. Millions of people across the country marching as we speak against the policies of President Trump. This is Boston. Look at that. We'll continue to follow these rallies throughout the day here on MSNBC. Wow. All right, coming up.
Okay, so funny thing, that was actually an image from 2017. So MSNBC flat lied. They just lied to you. They didn't even try to tell the truth. That image and that video is from 2017. And I believe, I can't remember where the source is, Breitbart. So if you go to Breitbart, you can see the source. And they'll show you the images from 2017 and from this right here. They're exactly the same. They even ran it through AI and Google reverse image. Somebody put that clip on Google reverse image and it came back and said, this is from some sort of concert or something like that in 2017. This is Boston. Yeah, what a jackass. They straight lied to you guys. Unbelievable. So yeah, was the King's protest a flop? I don't know. I guess it depends on how you look at it. I'd like to actually congratulate all the No Kings protesters. We have remained king-free since 1776, and even after the protest, we still don't have a king, and Donald Trump's still the president. So I don't know. I mean, maybe that's I don't know. Do you guys on the left see that as a win? I mean, I guess that's a win. I don't know. But really, it was a total flop. A lot of people for the No Kings protest in a lot of areas were leaving at around 1 o'clock. I believe New York was included on that. I was watching some of the live coverage. Not huge turnouts like they were thinking. And a lot of people were saying around 1 o'clock it was when they ran out of funding, so AKA that Soros money or whoever was paying for it. And sorry, my dogs picked this exact opportunity to want to play, so if you see me down here, it's just me playing with him a little bit, so I apologize. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about the No Kings protest. Did you just feel an overreaching impact from that, or is it just business as usual? And what else is the media? What are you guys seeing in the media with the No Kings protest? I'd be interested to see. The only ones that I've seen really kind of showing it accurately are Fox and Newsmax. Now, to be fair, I haven't really tuned into CNN, any of those guys, so I can't really say what they're saying. But obviously, MSNBC's got it all wrong, and that's no surprise there. So, all right, let's go on to the next thing here. Okay, so Donald Trump unclassified a video of another narco sub being blown out of the water. Let's take a look at that here real quick. Let's see here. Here it is. No sound to this one. There you go, sub full of narcotics. And Where's that? Come on. Blam. American justice right there. So yeah, there you go, guys. This stuff is coming out of Venezuela, and don't forget to leave a comment. And they're just heading them off the pass, man. They're destroying them before they can get to our continent and to the United States and kill some more of our citizens. So, I think this is great. And supposedly, I haven't verified this yet. There might have been some survivors of that incident. I'm not 100% sure. I just know that I've seen that video, and I know they said that it was carrying drugs. So yeah, and that came from the president. So if you want to go, you can go back and look at his Truth Social. By the way, if you're not following Donald Trump on Truth Social, you should download Truth Social and start following him. He just word vomits all day long of what he's doing. He is truly the first transparent president in at least my lifetime. He tells you what he's thinking, what he's doing, and he obviously does his own tweets and truths, as they call them, instead of posts, the truths. So you should totally go on there. He's at Real Donald Trump, I believe, on Truth Social. So yeah, President Trump posted its destruction on Truth, and this shows that we are tired of drugs just coming into our country. No tolerance policy with the administration, with drugs pouring into our borders. I'm very pleased with that as a first responder. Now I'll be honest with you, it's been a while since I've been on a 911 ambulance. I know I told you already that I'm in a private company, but this is good for us first responders as well. So the less drugs we can get to this country, the better. I think that's great. Let's see here. All right, so if you guys have any comments on that, drop some comments in there. I would appreciate it. If you guys have heard anything in that particular sub, were there any survivors? If y'all can drop any chats or comments, I'd like to know if there are any survivors from that. I didn't think there were, but I got a note here from my brother CP saying that there might have been some survivors from that. But regardless, we know they were carrying drugs, so sorry, I'm fine with it. Don't bring drugs to our country, and you won't get blown out of the water. It's really that easy. So let's go ahead and move on to, okay, I don't have a whole lot on this, but let's move over to the Ukraine war. Just a couple of things. Trump met with Zelensky at the White House to talk about the Ukrainian war, and I know that he also was on the phone with Putin at one point as well. And Putin was just urging a peace. I've watched some of his conferences. He said there's been too much killing on both sides. No hints of U.S. intervention. I don't think there ever will be. The only intervention I see that the U.S. will be taking part in is financial, aka tariffs and stuff like that, which we are adding tariffs and stuff like that to the Russians, and I know that's hurting their economy. So just not a whole lot there. It's kind of, as bad as it sounds, it seems like it's kind of business as usual. At some point, I feel that either the Russians or the Ukrainians are going to, at some point, somebody's got to throw in the towel, right? Because they're just going to start running out of people. There's been crazy amounts of deaths on both sides. I don't have the exact numbers. If you happen to know those numbers, drop them in the comments. I'll be happy to bring them up on the next stream. So let's move on. Speaking of war, let's go to the Israeli-Hamas ceasefire. So this information comes from Newsmax. I was listening to them the other day, and I went back and looked at a couple things. Hamas. So here's the thing. There seems to be a breaking of the ceasefire, maybe. And I'll give you the information. You kind of decide for yourself. So the other day, Hamas had killed some Israelis, some Israeli military. And the Israelis immediately retaliated by, just obliterating, half a block or whatever it is they do. And then the Israelis immediately retreated back to the ceasefire line. So, somebody killed them, they killed a couple people, and then they pulled back. They didn't just keep going and going and going. So, retaliation, I get it. That's fine. I'm good with it. Now, one of the things is the leaders with Hamas say that they were not aware of these individuals still striking at the Israeli military. So they're claiming that they weren't in contact with these people, that they are acting at their own fruition. President Trump did say that he believes them. I can see that there might be some chaos in communication with Hamas. They don't have the level of technology that we do. It's not, they operate in cells a lot of times. So maybe the word didn't get out to these folks. Maybe. So President Trump believes them, and he did issue a warning to Hamas saying you need to get these people under control or there will be dire consequences if they do not fix the problem. So he issued his warning to Hamas saying you need to get this under control and there shouldn't be any more rogue insurgents running around. You really need to get them under control. And if I'm not mistaken, there was also a what was it? Oh, which country is not offering them? Is it Iran? I can't remember, guys. I think it was Iran is no longer offering assistance to them. They don't have the backing of Iran anymore. I really hope I'm right about that. I may or may not be right about that. I have to go back and look at that. Anyways, one major country that usually supports them, and I think it is Iran, is no longer supporting them. So they kind of going to have to listen to President Trump or face the consequences. And I can see, while President Trump would be okay with the Israelis going there and wiping them out if they don't follow the ceasefire, I can see U.S., not necessarily maybe boots on the ground, but maybe like air power and stuff like that. I can see some U.S. involvement to go in there and wipe them out if they don't follow the ceasefire. Because I think not only are the Israelis tired of it, but I think the Americans are tired of it. Everybody's tired of it. So I think President Trump's going to end this one way or another. Drop some comments. Let me know what you think about that. If you think this is eventually, is this going to stop or are they going to keep going? Unfortunately, I can see Hamas trying to keep going. But again, I don't think it's going to work out for them at the end of the day. I think that breaking point's right around the corner where the Israelis and us, the Americans, are just done. And then we're just, going to have to obliterate them off the face of the earth. And I'm talking about Hamas. I'm not talking about the people themselves. The unfortunate reality, though, is war. People die, and it's very sad, but that's just the way it's always been. So, but yeah, so drop some comments. Let me know what you think about that. And that's all I really have on the Israeli-Hamas conflict. Don't have a whole lot there. So let's move on to the government shutdown. Still not a whole lot here either, but, it's still pretty much going the same as it was before. So we are now at day 20. I think today is day 22 of the government shutdown. Same resolution that the Democrats have been voting for the past 13 times. They've been voting for this for a couple of years now, at least, if not more. Many government employees, so some of the consequences that have come from this, and maybe it's not a consequence. Many government employees have been laid off. I don't know if that's necessarily a consequence. That might be a good thing. And I mean laid off, not just furloughed. They're gone. So the Trump administration is going in there and starting hacking away at some of this government fat. So, that might not be a bad thing, but you still are costing the Americans in approximately $400 million a day, because we do have to back pay the people that do come back, and it's going to come around to about $400 million a day is what it's costing the American taxpayer right now. So like I said in an earlier podcast, I know that's a bad thing, but I also think we were going to pay it anyways, but now the administration is taking this opportunity to cut some of the fat out of there, all the surplus government workers that we don't need, like the 46 people to pass one piece of paperwork. We don't need that. We can be a lot more efficient than we currently are. So, maybe not necessarily a bad thing, but, you be the judge of that and let me know what you think. And the government's still shut down, all because the Democrats, the camera's wiggling because my dog just ran by it. The Democrats have this government shut down still because they want to give illegals health care. Still, they want to give illegals health care and they want to offer transgender surgery. Okay, I told you in a previous podcast, I should not be paying for illegal aliens coming into this country. I should not be paying for their health care. I already have to pay for my health care, and it is damn expensive, at the end of the day. I still have to pay for it for me and my family. I shouldn't have to pay for an illegal alien who's not really contributing anything to this country other than taking benefits from us. So, and then also transgender surgery. As I said before, if you want to, be a transgender, whatever, when you get to be an adult, that's fine. That's your decision. You're an adult. I don't, whether I agree with it or not is absolutely irrelevant. Well, I personally think it's a little strange and weird and against biology, and I pray for you because you can't necessarily come back from that. But if you choose to do that, that's up to you. But I shouldn't have to pay for it. I should not be paying for that. That is your choice. I have to pay for my health insurance. You need to pay for your transgender care at the end of the day. That's just it. The taxpayers shouldn't be paying for it. So the Democrats are keeping this government closed just because they want to offer those things to, that population. And that is absolutely ridiculous and stupid. And, I don't get it, man. I don't know why they're trying to die on this hill, but, maybe they'll cave into pressure. We've already seen a couple of Democrats come over and said that they're going to support the continuing resolution. We're still short. So, we'll see what happens. And here's one. Here's something from Emily. This is a good question. This is actually a good question. Should we be taxed while the government is shut down? You know what? I actually agree with that, Emily. I don't think we should be taxed while the government shut down. All taxes are gone, right? Government shut down. But, as we know, no matter what, the government's going to get its money. So we're going to continue to be taxed. And at the end of the day, I think taxes are, certain taxes, most taxes are, I think it's a crime. They're just legally stealing from you at the end of the day. I don't know why we don't go to a flat tax period. Everybody pays the same in taxes across the board. Dump the IRS. That's a useless agency. You can save so much money by just having a flat tax. And, what a lot of people don't know is if you go back in our history, not too long ago, and I'll have to go back and look at the dates. I believe it was either World War I or World War II. We didn't actually have a lot of taxes in this country. We survived on tariffs. Does that sound familiar? It should, because that's what our president's trying to do right now. We survived on tariffs. We only had taxes for the military and basic human services and infrastructure and stuff like that. The taxes were far less than what they are now. So, and that was also less government. Now, the world wars increased our size in government, and that's when taxes became a thing. The taxes were never meant to be permanent. It was even when they first came out, they weren't supposed to be permanent. They were supposed to be temporary to get us through the war, to pay for the resources and all that good stuff, which at the time the Americans were okay with, right? We need to make sure that we have enough money to fight this war and win this war. But then they were supposed to go away, and we were supposed to go back to surviving off of tariffs. That's the way it's always been through our history up until that point. So, Emily, I agree with you. That's a great comment. So we're going to move on to immigration. So I have a couple things here for immigration. And let me see here real quick. Let me see. I had something else for you guys, actually, before I want to get into that. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. There's a couple things I didn't show you for the No King protest. So let's just rewind real quick and go back to the No Kings protest. I have another video I want to show you guys, and I think this is sick, and I think you need to see it. So let's go back here real quick. Sorry, that was the previous video. Here it is right here.
You ever heard of Ozempic, you fat ass? Hey!
That is a teacher mocking the death of Charlie Kirk. What you don't see is the individuals that are passing by or have a flag, and it says something along the lines of Charlie Kirk, hero, and the date that he was born, date that he died. And she's making, this comment here. What a jackass. Immediately the internet did what it does. A lot of people figured out who this woman was and sent it to her employer. She's a school teacher, elementary school teacher, and advocating and mocking the death of another human being. That's disgusting. You can go back and look at my older podcasts and see what I feel about that. But disgusting. And I've also heard some reports that she might have gotten fired, but I can't verify that if she did or not. I know a lot of people have gone to I believe it was in Chicago. A lot of people have gone to Chicago Department of Education and said, hey, this lady here is teaching my kids and she's advocating for violence. What the hell's wrong with you guys? So, hopefully that lady loses her job. At the end of the day, like I've said before, you have the freedom of speech. You absolutely do. You can even do that, but you do not have the freedom of consequences. There are consequences for your actions. And those consequences are you're going to lose your job if you're advocating for the death of somebody else. Sorry, it is what it is. Let's see. I think that's all I had on that. And I think I had another clip here, actually. So this one's on the government shutdown. Let's go back to that real quick. Sorry, I know I bounced around just a little bit. I forgot to do these clips for you guys, but I want to make sure you get them. So this is Speaker Mike Johnson talking about the government shutdown, just so you can hear it directly from him. It's just a brief clip. We'll watch that real quick.
Day 20 days since the Democrats recklessly shut down the United States government. And the Democrats are making some very costly history here, in all that's happening. This is now the third longest shutdown in history. And when you look at it carefully, it is now already the longest full shutdown of all time. You had an example in 2018, and you had one back in 1995 that were longer, but they were partial shutdowns because they only affected a part of the federal government. This is everything. And it's also important for us to note this is the first time in history that any party has had the audacity to shut down the government over a totally clean, nonpartisan continuing resolution. This is a political stunt, and it's the first time it's been done.
So the reason I wanted to play that clip for you guys is because he was talking about the CR. He goes on later to tell you that they voted on it 13 times before. So what's changed? What's changed? Well, Chuck Schumer is pandering to his extreme left individuals. He doesn't want to get voted out by someone like AOC come midterms. So he's pandering to those guys right now. That's the only reason they're doing it right now. So it's sad. All right, now we can move into immigration. So I got some information for you guys. I was actually watching Louder with Crowder, and you hear me reference him all the time. You should totally watch him. I am not friends with him. I don't, know him. I don't chat with him or anything. So this is just me telling you guys it's a good show, and there's a lot of information there. So they brought up some stats that I went back and looked at myself and verified. And I'm going to try to tell you where all these stats came from so you can go back and verify them yourself. Remember, verify everything. If you trust me, I really do appreciate it. But, trust but verify. Go back and look at resources yourself to formulate your own opinion. Don't always take my word for it. I can even be wrong sometimes. I know it's hard to believe. So, all right. So here, illegals and their cost. So illegals and their cost. Okay. So the cost that the illegals bring to this nation, I think, proves that they don't want to assimilate, and they're not here just for a better job, or they're not here to better their life. They're just here for the money. They're not here to make America better, which is why you're supposed to come to America, is make America better. Yeah, sure, you bring some of your other culture aspects here and, enrich our civilization, as well, and bring in your assets, but you also have to be willing to assimilate to the American way. And I think the cost in crime and the cost in monetary assets and just money in general towards illegals, I think proves that they're here just for the money and they're not here to assimilate and make America better. And here's some of the things that they have here. So this is the United States, and there's a couple other countries too. The United States, $150 billion to $450 billion costs the American taxpayer every year in the USA. That comes from DOJ. So illegals cost us anywhere from $150 billion to $450 billion. Heck, even if you just say $200 billion or $250 billion, meet kind of in the middle there, that's a lot of money. And that's all these programs, so SNAP, welfare, all that good stuff that we're giving to illegal immigrants that are not giving anything back to the United States. They're not working, or they're doing part-time work or something like that. Nothing wrong with part-time work. Part-time work has its place. But if you're receiving benefits from me, you really need to be, working your ass off for those benefits. That's my humble opinion. Here's some other examples from across the globe. Now, this is actually kind of eye-opening here. So let's go to the UK real quick. The Somali Community Health Profile of 2022. Again, you can go look this up yourself. So these are some of the stats for 2022. Only 8% of the Somalis in the UK are proficient in English. They moved to England, and only 8% of them are proficient in English. That means speaking the language, writing the language, understanding the language, work. If you have to work in England, you need to know English, right? Just like you do here in the United States. Here's another one. 77% abuse drugs. So 77% of Somalis, now this is just Somalis right now. 77% of Somalis abuse drugs in the UK. That's a huge demographic. That is insane. 72% live in government housing. So 72% of Somalis that come to the UK are living and costing taxpayer money to live in taxpayer-funded housing. That's crazy. Let's go to Denmark here. This comes from the acting Minister of Immigration. I'm not even going to try to say their name because I can't say it. In Denmark, 200 now keep in mind Denmark small, so they have way less immigration into their country. Out of the 321, I believe this is Palestinians. Anyways, out of 321 immigrants, 204 have been convicted of a crime. 204 have been convicted of a crime out of 321. 68 of those 204 were imprisoned. 204 convicted of a crime. That's more than half of their immigration of 321. Not 1,000. I think it's just 321. Again, Denmark's small. That's crazy, guys. So you're again costing the taxpayer a lot of money. These people do not want to assimilate. These people do not want to assimilate. They want to come, here to the United States, Denmark, UK, and take advantage of those resources, and that's all they're doing. They're not assimilating. There has to be some assimilation. I think 100% assimilation personally. Like you can still have your beliefs. That's the great thing about America. You can believe whatever you want, but you still have to follow our laws and adhere to our way of life as a civilization. As a civilization, we have determined via the Constitution and all that stuff that this is how we are going to live in our country. And you have to follow those. You can still believe whatever you want to believe, but you still have to assimilate to our way of life and follow our laws. They're not doing that, obviously. Looking at the stats here. And in the U.S., let's go back to the U.S. here. 1.5 to 5 times illegal immigrants are more likely to be incarcerated over natural-born citizens. So, I know that's not a big number, but when you're talking about the amount of illegals in this country, 1.5, call it 2% to 5% is probably closer to 5%. Let's be real here. You're talking hundreds of thousands of people being incarcerated over natural-born citizens, so they have what that's saying is they have a much higher crime rate for them to be imprisoned by. So felonies, heavier crimes, stuff like that, not just like a speeding ticket or something. We're talking assaults, sexual assaults and all that good stuff. Sorry, not good stuff at all. And so, to me, that just proves that they're not willing to, accept the Western way of life. So this is why we need to get illegals out of our country. You want to come in the right way, that's fine. That, you come in the right way, that means you're willing to assimilate, you're willing to pay your dues and come in the front door. That is awesome. I'm all about that. You come in here illegally, you're not willing to assimilate, you're just coming here for our money, and you're causing a drain on our society at the end of the day. And that's unacceptable. I have to pay for that. My son eventually is going to have to pay for that, and we just need to cut that out. That's ridiculous. And a lot of people will say, well, it's that's their culture. They're just generations behind us and technology and stuff. It is 2025 everywhere else in the world, and all of these other countries had a head start over us by a long shot. So I don't want to hear it. They have had plenty of time to make a great society like we did in our amount of time. It's 2025 in Africa. It's 2025 in Afghanistan. It's 2025 in China. It's 2025 everywhere in the world. I can't help that your society did not decide to flourish for whatever reason. Well, I can tell you why. Communism and dictatorships, that's what happens. We're unique and we accelerated because, we believe in capitalism and democracy. So, that's a discussion for another day. So that's kind of what I have on immigration right now. I just wanted to share some of that information with you guys. Drop some comments on that. Let me know what you think about that. Did I get it right? Was that okay? I hope so. Drop a comment. And if you don't mind, subscribe. And actually, I forgot to turn off the Facebook episode. So anybody watching on Facebook, do me a favor and follow me on Rumble or YouTube. So let's move on to the next thing here. You know what? We'll go ahead and finish the whole episode on Facebook. Let's go on to the Virginia governor's race. Actually, not a whole lot to go there, but I think there's some important points. All local news sources, NBC 12 is one of them here locally in Virginia. Still neck and neck race. What we are showing, though, is early voting is up for Republicans. It's kind of high, a little bit higher than it has been before. But what's important to note is that Republicans traditionally vote on voting day. So does that mean that we're going to see a surge of Republican votes on voting day? Because Democrats traditionally have voted early. If you go back to COVID, for the most part, a good chunk of their votes are in for early voting, mail-in ballots, dropping them off at the ballot box and stuff like that. So, are we going to see a surge here of Republican votes and, catapult Winston Sears to the front? Like I said, they're neck and neck. I think the latest polls have her like 1 or 2% below Abigail Spanberger, but when you get within 2%, those polls really don't matter. It's neck and neck. You might as well call it 50-50 at that point. So I also saw that Obama's going to campaign a little bit for Abigail Spanberger. Will he come out and condemn Jay Jones' text messages advocating for violence against somebody else in the Virginia legislature and for his family to die? I don't know. Let's see. Probably not. Probably not. So, and that's still a thing, guys. Don't forget about that. Don't forget that Abigail Spanberger has still not asked for him to drop out of the race. She's condoned his texts. That's all. But she has not asked him to step out of the race, where that would probably be the standard for just about anybody else. So, and the polls do have him actually, him specifically, because we do vote for Attorney General here in Virginia too as well. He's more than a couple points behind the Republicans. So, there's a real possibility that you get a Democrat governor and a Republican Attorney General. So wouldn't that be interesting? So, that's all I really got. So Virginians, don't forget to vote coming up next month. Next month. Don't forget to vote. Go in and vote. Put your vote in. Get your voices heard, and let's get Winston Sears to the front of the line here. So I think that's really about it, guys. So if you wouldn't mind, I'll go ahead and do my spiel here. Don't forget to subscribe. Follow us at 1732 Streaming on Rumble, at 1732 Streaming on YouTube, JK1732A on Twitch. And of course, if you're watching on Facebook, you can just see when I go live. I will actually, hopefully, if I don't forget to turn it off next episode, you'll basically only get the introduction and maybe one little story before I flip over to the other platforms, because, I want you guys to come to Rumble. Come to Rumble. It's a free speech platform. It's a great platform to be watching. Rumble owns live, man. They're absolutely beating YouTube up in live broadcasting. So so do me a favor, follow us there. Drop some comments, drop some chats, so I can know you guys are engaging. And if you're on Rumble, hit that thumbs up button, man. It helps. Believe it or not, it helps me, and also helps me in the algorithms and all that stuff if I get those thumbs up. So that's all I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed. I'll try to do another episode, maybe, let's say probably around Friday, maybe Saturday. I'll do another episode for you guys of Freedom Circuit. And don't forget, I also do some gaming streams. I might do one today. I don't know. I've been sick the last couple of days. Took a lot of energy just to get this up for you guys today. So, but I'll catch you guys later. Keep your head on a swivel. Stay safe. And I'll see you on the flip side, guys. Peace.